It was one of those mornings where the sun streamed lazily through the curtains and everything seemed perfectly ordinary. I had just brewed my coffee, the warm aroma filling the kitchen, and sat down at my desk to prepare for a day of paperwork. My office was neat, my life orderly, a life I thought I knew inside out. The drawer beside me was cluttered with pens, staplers, and loose notes. I reached in casually, needing a pen to jot down a reminder for a meeting later that afternoon. My fingers brushed against something that didn't belong. It was a small, thick envelope tucked far back in the corner of the drawer. Curious, I pulled it out. The paper was old, yellowed at the edges, and my name was written on it in handwriting I didn't recognize. A chill ran down my spine. How had this ended up here? I hesitated. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to shove it back and pretend I had never seen it. But another part, a deeper, insistent part, urged me to open it. Slowly, I peeled the envelope apart. Inside was a single sheet of paper with words that made my heart stop. The handwriting was familiar now. It belonged to my late father. I hadn't spoken to him in years before he passed, yet here was a message, as if he had known I'd find it one day. It wasn't a simple note. It was a revelation, a truth about our family that no one had ever shared, the kind of truth that could unravel everything you thought you knew. It was one of those mornings where the sun streamed lazily through the curtains and everything seemed perfectly ordinary. I had just brewed my coffee, the warm aroma filling the kitchen, and sat down at my desk to prepare for a day of paperwork. My office was neat, my life orderly, a life I thought I knew inside out. The letter began with mundane memories, his love for his garden, the way he made tea in the mornings, the soft humming he did while reading. But then the tone shifted, the words became heavier. "I know this may come as a shock," it read, "but there is something you must understand about our family, about the life you thought you knew." I sank into my chair, my hand trembling. The letter spoke of hidden business dealings, of alliances and betrayals, of people I trusted blindly who were not as they seemed. And then it mentioned a name I had never heard before, someone who had been silently influencing our family decisions for decades. My mind raced. Could it be true? All the late-night whispers, the odd phone calls, the tension between family members I couldn't explain, was it all connected? I felt a pull between disbelief and curiosity. Could I really confront this truth, or would it destroy the world I had built for myself? I couldn't leave it there. I needed answers. The letter hinted at a location, a small office my father had once used but had since been abandoned. It was said to contain documents, files, and perhaps even recordings that could explain everything. I took a deep breath and decided to go. Every step felt surreal, as if I were stepping into a story that had been written long before I was aware of it. I grabbed my coat, my bag, and left the apartment, the envelope clutched tightly in my hand. The streets were bustling, yet I felt isolated, aware only of the secret I carried. I replayed every family gathering, every conversation, every glance, wondering what had been hiding in plain sight all these years. When I arrived at the office building, it was empty, the dust thick in the corners and the air tinged with the scent of forgotten files. I pushed open the door, my heart thumping loudly, and there, in the dim light, I saw the first clue, a folder with my name on it. As I reached for it, I realized that whatever lay inside would change my life forever. I had crossed the point of no return. The folder felt heavier than I expected, as if it carried the weight of years of secrets. My hands trembled as I opened it, revealing stacks of documents. Bank statements, handwritten notes, photographs, and even letters addressed to people I didn't recognize. Each paper I unfolded revealed fragments of a story I had never known. My father had been involved in a network of business deals, some legitimate, some not. But it wasn't just money. They were names, connections, and decisions that had affected our family in ways I could barely comprehend. A photograph fell out from between the papers. It was black and white, old, slightly faded. My father stood with the woman I didn't recognize, smiling in a way that didn't match his usual stoic demeanor. Behind them, in the shadows, someone was watching. A man whose face was partially obscured. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Who was he? Why had my father kept this hidden? And why now, so many years after his death, had I been led to discover it? The documents also included a diary, bound in worn leather. I opened it carefully.
Inside were entries written in my father's handwriting, some mundane, some cryptic. One line caught my eye. As I continued sifting through the files, my phone buzzed on the desk. It was an unknown number. Hesitant, I answered. "Hello?" I said, my voice wavering. "Do not open the envelope further," a deep, calm voice warned. "Some truths are better left undiscovered." I froze. My pulse raced. How could someone know? "Who is this?" I asked, my voice shaking. "There are forces at play you cannot even imagine. Your father was protecting you. Stop digging, or you may regret it." The call ended abruptly. My hand hovered over the phone. My mind was spinning. Who could be behind this? And how did they know about the envelope? Yet, instead of fear, I felt something else. Determination. I could not turn back now. I had come too far, and too many questions demanded answers. I gathered the files and left the office, feeling the weight of the hidden truths pressing down on me. My journey was no longer just about curiosity. It was about survival, about understanding the life I thought I knew. The next day, I went to meet an old family friend, someone my father had trusted deeply, Mr. Linton. He was a retired lawyer, known for his sharp mind and discretion. I hoped he could shed light on the mysterious files in the letter. He welcomed me into his study, a room lined with bookshelves and old photographs. I handed him the documents carefully. His eyes widened as he scanned the papers, then narrowed thoughtfully. This is bigger than I imagined," he said slowly. "Your father kept this a secret for a reason. You've stumbled upon a network that has affected not just your family, but many others." I felt a wave of panic. "What does that mean? Are we in danger?" He shook his head. "Possibly, but knowledge is power. We need to understand who was involved, why your father hid it, and what your role is in all of this." For the first time, I realized that I wasn't alone. I had an ally, someone who could help me navigate this maze of secrets and deception. But even with his guidance, the path ahead was unclear and dangerous. I left his house that evening with a renewed sense of purpose. The envelope had been just the beginning. The real story, the truth my father had hidden, was waiting to be uncovered, and I was ready to face it, whatever it might cost. With Mr. Linton's help, I began to unravel the tangled web my father had left behind. Each document revealed new layers: hidden bank accounts, forged contracts, and a network of individuals who had been quietly influencing our family business. But the most shocking revelation came from a folder marked "Private, Do Not Open." Inside were letters between my father and a woman I had never met, someone named Eleanor. She had been working behind the scenes for decades, orchestrating decisions that affected our family. One letter chilled me to the bone. If she discovers this, she must be ready for what comes next. Her life will never be the same. I realized that my father had known I would uncover these truths. He had left me clues, not just about the past, but about the present dangers. The careful planning, the secret envelopes, even the unknown caller, all of it pointed to someone trying to protect me while simultaneously warning me. It was clear now. The pen I had reached for that morning was the trigger for uncovering a life-altering secret. Determined to face the truth head-on, I decided to track down Eleanor. I wanted answers, and I wasn't going to leave until I understood her role and intentions. After days of investigation, I found her. She was older than I expected, with sharp eyes and an air of authority. She welcomed me cautiously, knowing why I had come. "I assumed you've read everything," she said. Her voice was calm yet firm. "Yes," I admitted. "But why? Why manipulate our family all these years?" She sighed. "It wasn't manipulation. It was protection. Your father and I were trying to shield you from forces you couldn't yet understand. Decisions had been made, alliances formed, enemies made. You were never meant to see this until you were ready." Her words were difficult to digest. Yet, as she spoke, I realized the depth of the sacrifices my father had made. The secrets were for my safety, not just a hidden legacy of betrayal. As I processed Eleanor's explanation, the danger became apparent. The phone call from before was not an idle warning. There were people who wanted the truth buried forever. One evening, as I returned home with the files, I noticed shadows moving outside my window. A car slowly drove past, stopping at odd intervals. Fear coursed through me, but I refused to let it paralyze me. I called Mr. Linton. "I'm here," I whispered. "Someone's watching me." He instructed me to stay put and gather every document. Together, we formulated a plan to protect the evidence while uncovering who was behind this. The tension was unbearable. I could no longer pretend that this was just a puzzle of the past. It was a battle in the present. Through careful strategy, we tracked one of the operatives and discovered the identity of the mastermind, a longtime business associate of my father, someone I had trusted. The betrayal stung deeply, but it also clarified everything. With the mastermind exposed and Eleanor's guidance, I confronted the individual. It was a tense meeting, one charged with emotion, anger, and fear. Words were exchanged, threats whispered, but ultimately the truth could not be hidden any longer. I realized the significance of my father's foresight. The secrets had been dangerous, yes, but they also contained the key to freedom, understanding, and closure for our family. I documented everything, secured the evidence, and ensured that justice would be served. In the quiet aftermath, I returned to my apartment, sitting at the desk where it had all begun. The pen still lay in the drawer, but now it was no longer ordinary. It was the symbol of a journey through lies, fear, and ultimately, truth. I looked out the window at the fading sun, a mixture of relief and exhaustion washing over me. The past had been unveiled. The present was mine to shape. And for the first time in years, I felt truly free.